Hey guys, it's Britt. Tonight we're here with a little update on Mom of 8. I did a video on her just a couple of days ago, and I have some new information to share with you guys from some of my Canadian subscribers. So I wanted to provide this little update and share some comments with you guys. So if you're interested, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so first things first, I wanted to just extend a moment of appreciation for the positive feedback that I received on that video. I know a lot of you guys like my longer form content, like longer videos that are at or around, in between 45 minutes to an hour and a half like this one was. And I wish that I could do longer form content more often, but it's just, you guys know, like, I work full time, I have a life outside of YouTube, and it's difficult to juggle everything and still be consistent and all of those things. I am going to make an effort to try to pop in some longer videos sporadically. I know over the summer, it's just sometimes it's easier for certain periods of time to do shorter videos and be really consistent, and then sometimes I can do shorter videos with some long ones. I'm doing my best, but I appreciate the positive feedback and kind words. Even though this is a really tough topic, sometimes those are the topics that I cover on my channel. They might not be popular. Not everybody is going to see things the same way. Some people might say, hey, I really like that you're covering this. Other people say, hey, you shouldn't be covering this. I don't know who you are, and get off of my feed. So you really just never know. Well, not you, me. I never know what the response is going to be, because sometimes I might think, oh, people aren't going to like this very much, and then it's actually a really good conversation that I see happening in the comments. So I just wanted to say thank you for the positive feedback. And you guys who are Canadian residents or know Canadian law came through in this comment section. So I wanted to share a few of these with you guys as an update. So let's just start. I'm going to kind of go from the top. The first thing I want to hit on is what I consider a death positive environment, because there were a couple of people that were confused and a lot of people that were echoing what I was saying. And I will tell you guys what a death positive environment is to me. It is an environment, a household where discussing people dying, people passing away, the end of life, those are not taboo topics. Kids are not afraid or feel awkward to bring up that topic around parents or adults like in the household. I just feel like, I've heard so many stories of people saying, I was afraid to ask questions, and when it came time for the first death that my family experienced, I was really, really scared and just had no idea who I could ask questions to, because it was always a topic that was off limits. And it makes it very difficult, especially if the child's first death is a parent or a sibling, somebody who they live with every single day in the same household, and then that person is just no longer there overnight. If you're creating that kind of environment where kids are literally scared to ask questions, or they feel like they might, be scolded if they ask the wrong questions, I just feel like it's a better environment if kids can talk about it and talk about it openly. I always say the only thing that we are all guaranteed in this life is to die. And that might sound blunt, it might sound whatever to some people, but I've come to terms with the fact that, everybody dies. Unfortunately, some of us experience a great amount of loss, but, before we're even the age of 18. Some of us go through it later in life. I knew people before I turned 18 that had already lost one or both of their parents, and I saw how difficult it was for them. Some people don't go to their first funeral or experience their first death until they're in their 30s or 40s, or sometimes even older, depending on, how big is your family, how big is your friend group. It just all varies case by case, but I don't see anything wrong with, exposing children to the proper amount of this is what dying is about. Again, I'm not saying traumatize kids and tell them all of the details about this family member who was in this really tragic car accident. That is not what I am saying. But if they have questions, they should not be scared to come to the adults in the house and be able to ask questions that they might be curious about. Because curiosity, when it's met with an answer, then kids are hopefully going to be better prepared down the road when the inevitable happens, and we all lose family members and friends. But either way, that's the death positive point that I wanted to make. A lot of people in the comments section of this video were mentioning that this could be a grooming situation, because this man was 30 years older than this woman, Mom of Eight, the creator of this channel. And it could have been a situation where, it sounds like she was 19, he was around the age of 50, and let's be honest, what 50-year-old man is going to go after a 19-year-old and end up marrying that 19-year-old? Usually somebody who is not, necessarily going after it for the right purposes. And of course, I don't want to throw around any serious allegations, because we don't know her, we don't know him, and at the end of the day, we are still dealing with, a widow who is in mourning, and I want to keep that in mind. But it is certainly questionable. It is nefarious at worst and questionable at best, and I think that most of us can agree on that. So here is a comment from a Canadian resident. This person says, "So I live in Canada and I asked my grandparents. They said our old age pension and Canada Pension Plan, or CPP, do not carry over when your spouse when you pass. However, you do get a different type of income called a widower's pension. As well, any job he worked that had pensionable hours would also carry over to her. But just a percentage, not the whole thing. I hope that makes sense." And someone responded in the comments and said, "The ODSP is disability, though, from Ontario. It says on their website that a spouse is entitled to the check in case of death. I'm wondering if they were legally married through Canada. It's pretty liberal, so maybe the kids. I don't know." And the same commenter responded and said, "It shouldn't matter if you're legally married or not. In Canada, after you live in the same address as someone for over 5 years, you can call them a common law spouse." And we have something very similar in the United States. It goes not case by case, state by state. And you get all the same rights as husband, wife, or partner. I don't live in Ontario, but in my province, the spouse will receive 50% of the disability check monthly from here on out. I think that's pretty typical. So I love to see this, just sharing experiences, because that's exactly what I asked you guys to do, because I don't live in Canada and I don't know anyone who lives in Canada personally. So lots of people with the same opinion that she should really be accepting the counseling that is being offered to her. Again, this is not anything that anybody, I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but to hear the fierce denial is what concerned me first. And then once I heard how she was constantly explaining how she had things working in her favor so that she would not be blamed for what happened to him, that is really where my instincts started to just not feel 100% with what I was consuming. This is a really good comment. This person is stating that never take money from a late spouse's bank account unless your name is on that bank account, even if you're married, it's considered stealing. Lawyers have to deal with inheritance. Gosh, how nobody counseled her. Oh, wait, yeah, that might have been part of the counseling offered. I bet it was a social worker that the hospital offered. They know all of this stuff. Lots of people also agreeing, like this comment says, her behavior feels off. My husband died 6 months ago. I told our 8-year-old daughter while the police were telling me. Kids are intuitive. They know something is up. It's far more traumatic to drag it out and wait to tell them. It just prolongs the fear and unease. I wonder what else will come to light about this story. And I also wanted to clarify that yes, her 16-year-old now knows, but he found out because he saw a pamphlet of information on their table. So it wasn't a completely transparent, hey, I realized that I shouldn't be withholding this information from you about your father. Let's sit down and have an honest conversation about what's going on. He actually ended up finding a pamphlet, a piece of paper about, grief counseling. And that is why that's basically how he ended up getting clued into what was happening. This comment says, the entire story seems odd with a lot of red flags. I still don't understand why people tell all their business on social media. The trauma dumping is also a problem. It will not be good to build this kind of parasocial relationship with those that are watching. She also put out a more recent video where she wrote a poem for her followers. I don't believe that she is as naive as what she might be portraying, and part of that seeming to be naive, it could also just be her still dealing with trauma. As we know, these videos were filmed right after her husband passed, so emotions were still running very high, obviously, and heartbreak and healing hadn't even begun when she was making these videos. But it's just all very interesting, and here's the thing. Again, how many times do I have to say, if you're putting it out onto social media, people are going to start to pick it apart. You can put a video together and you can think that you literally were so transparent and you use the right words and you use the right body language and you're making yourself loud and clear. But listen, when you upload it to possibly hundreds of thousands or millions of people, all of those different people are going to respond to it in a different manner. Not everybody is going to see exactly what you wanted them to see or hear what you wanted them to hear. And that is just part of social media. It is part of the game. If you're going to put this stuff out there for public consumption, then you got to let people respond to it in the way that they're going to respond to it. That's just, kind of the name of the game when you're putting this stuff out onto social media. This comment's super important because this is a 43-year-old widow who found her husband lying in the floor, and she shared her opinions on this, so I want to make sure that I read this. She said, the dude OD'd. Yes, there is a sense of fault, but not enough to leave him lying on the floor. I can't grasp that she did that. I immediately called 911 and began life-saving procedures to no avail. She is not emotionally mature enough to make any of these decisions. Did she really say that she discussed putting his body in a box and leaving it in the home? Her final point is, the last thing a semi-normal person would think of doing is immediately going on social media and giving a play-by-play of your spouse's sudden death before you tell your own children. She needs to get and maintain professional help for her children. And yeah, obviously not only for her children, but I think she also means for herself, because here's the thing, when you're taking care of your mental health, that is also in exchange going to be helping your children. And if you are more emotionally available for your children, then they are also going to be able to go through this healing process with you. And I just feel like it could end catastrophically if something is not done soon. I really hope that she has reconsidered all of this in the last couple of months. Why would she say she has photos of him and she's hiding it from the police yet putting it on the internet? Does she not think someone would tell the police that? There were a few comments along those same lines, just how odd it is to be making this kind of content and then saying, well, I haven't told the police this, but you're uploading it to YouTube publicly. Just seems like a it's a large set of very strange decisions that she shared with us. Now, this person doesn't come out and say that they are a Canadian resident, but the comment says she will keep ODSP for 3 more months. She should be entitled to a widow's pension and she can apply for other assistance. And another comment said, my husband died 2 years ago. I get his pension, but only because he took $1,000 a month less to have a survivor benefit. If he didn't take that option, it would have all gone with him. All pensions are different. Again, she didn't. That comment did not say if she's a Canadian resident, but I still wanted to share it. Someone else said, sadly, many pensions do not transfer to the surviving spouse. But again, I am not sure if that person is in Canada or not. Here is somebody else's comment, and it sounds like they might be a Canadian resident, but they said she will be financially provided for by the government. She can collect welfare, the child tax credits that are available to every family. It's around $600 plus per child, and welfare is decided on by the family size. She will also receive his pension through survivor benefits. Housing is free for them, and utilities are subsidized. She will be bringing in thousands a month from the government of Ontario. Also, a lot of people confirming my concerns about co-sleeping with children, especially small children. Someone else said, my best friend lives in Ontario and her mom gets a percentage of her dad's pension. It sounds like from the majority of people, it sounds like she will be getting his pension, but it will not be the full amount. But because of the other assistance that she's also getting, hopefully that will help to close the gap. Someone else said, Canadian here, ODSP would be cut off because he's a recipient. She would be getting money through the province and feds for the minor children, and that money is likely significant on the benefit scale because the husband was on ODSP and she doesn't work. Someone else said her 2 adult sons should get jobs and help out. Absolutely. So anyway, there are a lot of good comments on that video. If you guys are following this or you're interested, you can go check out additional comments. But I wanted to specifically share what Canadian residents were having to say about this, because when I ask for specific info, I like to also, share that I received it so that we can continue the conversation. Again, I will just say, I would not wish this on anybody. She should not be having to go through this. But the idea of, oh, well, she is a new widow, so nobody should be talking about this. Listen, if you don't want anyone talking about it, then these matters should be kept private. They should not be on YouTube for public consumption. And I will not continue to repeat myself in every single video because most of y'all get it. But when you present all of this information and there's red flags and questions and, just things that people have questions about, we are entitled to have a discussion about it. You put it out there for public consumption, and now the court of public opinion is going to have those discussions. So nevertheless, I send all of the peace and positivity to her. I really hope that she reconsiders getting some counseling and to not only help herself but also help her children through this really difficult time. But that's enough for today. So if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment, and if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.